Coming up, a detailed look at the history, design, and travel guide to Adventureland. Disney presents Beyond the Kingdoms. Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's main show of Beyond the Kingdoms. I'm your host David, and it's time to start a brand new series, Exploring the Magic Kingdom. If you're new to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and click on the bell icon so that you never miss an episode. But without further ado, let's take a detailed look at the first of 7 lands at the most magical place on Earth. If you've been following this channel for some time, you've no doubt seen my Exploring the Disney Park series. But today, I'm launching the Exploring Magic Kingdom series. Each episode will take a detailed look at one of the lands inside Florida's premier theme park. From a close-up perspective on the smaller Disney details, to practical tips on how to best experience the rides and attractions. Magic Kingdom is unique in that the stories, characters, and architecture are inspired from great literature, fictional worlds filled with fantasy, and a sprinkle of real-world landmarks. And Adventureland is certainly full of all of those things. This is without a doubt my favorite section of the Magic Kingdom. This is one land that has stayed relatively intact from when the park first opened in 1971. With a few minor updates here and there. In fact, Adventureland boasts not 1, but 3 opening day attractions. And this exotic corner of the park is home to perhaps one of Disney's most iconic snacks. All in all, Adventureland features 4 food and dining locations, 3 main shops, 1 character meet and greet location, and 5 attractions. So welcome to this land filled with singing birds, cheesy jungle skippers, and swashbuckling pirates. Besides the classic attractions and delicious snacks, Adventureland holds a special place in my heart because of the plethora of Disney details and a real cohesive layout when it comes to architecture. This land can be broken down into 4 distinct sections, which may be inspired by opposite far-off corners of the globe, but here at the Magic Kingdom, they blend beautifully from one to the next. When you first enter this land, you'll be transported to undiscovered corners of the globe during various colonial periods in Asia and Africa. It's especially evident in the exteriors of the Skipper Canteen area. Then you transition into the fictional world of Agrabah, clearly inspired by Disney's animated film Aladdin, but also reflecting various regions of the Middle East. You're then thrusted into the wonders of Polynesia and reminded of the American Tiki craze of the 1960s. And then the whole land is rounded out by a trip to the Caribbean islands, in an era where Spain and England dominated the high seas. The very first attraction you'll come across in Adventureland is a very overlooked one, the Swiss family Treehouse. This was an opening day attraction at Magic Kingdom in 1971, and a much more elaborate version of the California counterpart. While the film was a big hit in 1960, the walkthrough attraction stays true to the book a little bit more than the film. The live-action movie was an adaptation of the novel that was first published in 1812. The story, of course, is about a Swiss family en route to Australia, who at the start of the book are caught in an enormous storm. The crew abandon ship and the family, and after riding out the storm through the night, the Robinsons find themselves shipwrecked on an exotic island somewhere in the East Indies. The film takes a few detours from the book. For example, in the movie, the family is said to be on their way to a colony known as New Guinea. But one detail of the attraction that shows it's connected to the book more than the film is in the library. If you look very closely on the map of the Indian Ocean on the desk, you'll see that the family has noted that they landed on an island en route to Australia. However, a somewhat newer addition to the treehouse is pulled directly out of the classic film. On your way out of the treehouse, you'll come across a small landing that overlooks a beautiful creek and a makeshift throne. You young viewers may not recognize this, but Disney veterans familiar with the movie will know exactly which scene this was pulled from. In honor of New Switzerland's first national holiday, the family string up some flags and Fritz decorates a wooden chair for Mother to sit on and judge the famous animal race, when all the children ride an impossible group of animals from an ostrich to a zebra. In reality, this landing overlooking the throne at the park is really a place where guests in wheelchair and ECVs can wait for their family to finish climbing the treehouse. The Swiss Family Treehouse is not as exciting as Space Mountain or Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, but it is a callback to simpler times, when good theming was still appreciated even though you would have to climb thousands of steps. The next time you have a few minutes to spare and want to work off some calories, take a tour of this treehouse. It offers fantastic views and a small escape from the crowds. Now across the treehouse and along the way to the Enchanted Tiki room, you'll notice another overlooked Disney detail. One that pays homage to one of Disney's finest animators, the legendary Marc Davis. These 6 Tiki gods were designed by Davis himself, and it's a beautiful testament to his skill at bringing animated characters to life with distinct facial expressions and a lighthearted sense of humor. Marc began his career with Disney as an animator, and he brought to life some truly iconic characters, from the original Disney princess Snow White to the terrifying villain Cruella de Vil in 101 Dalmatians. But in 1962, Walt brought Davis over from the animation team to Imagineering, specifically to get his opinion on how to improve the Nature's Wonderland train ride in Frontierland. Marc advised how the animals should be treated like characters in animated film, with humorous gags that the guests could react to. This simple suggestion would later move Davis into Imagineering, where he worked on some of Disney's best rides. He gave the same treatment to the Jungle Cruise, adding scenes such as the comical elephant pull. Then, thanks to the creation of audio animatronics, Marc helped develop the characters inside the Tiki room. Once Imagineers improved this technology with human figures at the New York World's Fair, Davis and other Imagineers developed Pirates of the Caribbean. Therefore, Marc Davis's signature style and characters can not only be found all over Magic Kingdom, but especially so here in Adventureland. And these Tiki gods are just a little sample of that. But Adventureland is not all about fantasy and fictional characters. It's also rooted in some real-world architecture. From a design standpoint, the Pirates of the Caribbean attraction here in Florida was a big departure from its California cousin. The Florida version was designed to look like a Spanish fort, similar to the ones that can be seen all over the Caribbean even today. In fact, the show building is said to be inspired by Puerto Rico's Castillo San Felipe del Moro, or more simply, Castillo de Moro, which overlooks the Bay of San Juan. The original fort was commissioned by King Charles V of Spain in 1539, and according to the fort's website, it was not considered complete until 1787. And the fort's most iconic symbol is the simple overhanging turret found on the northwest corner of the structure. And a very similar turret can be found on the rooftop of the attraction here at Magic Kingdom. But that's enough talk about history and architecture, so let's look at some of the more practical details in Adventureland. Entertainment and characters are a little bit on the scarce side here in this land. And according to various sources, that's about to get even worse, sadly. Since 2006, pirate lovers have been able to learn the ways of swashbuckling Captain Jack Sparrow at the pirate tutorial. It premiered just a couple of years after the success of the first pirate film in the franchise, The Curse of the Black Pearl. But sadly, this is said to be closing very soon at Magic Kingdom. According to Disney's official website, the final performance will be on October 6th as part of a wider entertainment cutback. For those of you lucky enough to be visiting in the coming days before the closure, I can tell you this. The pirate tutorial is an enhanced character experience. It's of course featuring Jack, and it's pretty much the pirate version of Jedi training over at Hollywood Studios. Kids get to walk on stage along Jack Sparrow and learn how to fight like a pirate. A photographer is nearby to capture all of the memories, and it lasts about 20 minutes. Performances usually take place up to 6 times a day, at 11 a.m., 12, 1 p.m., 3, 4 p.m., and 5 p.m. I find it absolutely shocking that this is going away, since it proved to draw in some decently sized crowds. Now, there's no official word on how long this will be gone from the park's entertainment lineup, but I decided to keep this in just in case it comes back in the future. Here's to wishful thinking. But disappointed pirate lovers, don't worry. There's another interactive experience that you can still take part in. A Pirate's Adventure is an interactive game that guests can participate in, and it's somewhat similar to the Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom game. On the walkway between Adventureland and Frontierland, aspiring pirates can sign up for this adventure and embark on one of 5 missions. Each mission takes about 20 minutes to complete, and along the multiple stops on the mission, you'll help Jack Sparrow find some buried treasure around the land. And a bonus here is that if you complete 2 of the 5 missions, you'll be given a bonus fast pass to ride Pirates of the Caribbean. This is a fun, easy experience if you've got a few days at Magic Kingdom and you're looking for something different to do in between the rides. And it's absolutely free. Now, the one character experience in Adventureland takes us to the Agrabah Bazaar. Next to the marketplace and across the magic carpets of Aladdin, guests can meet Aladdin and Jasmine together for some photos and autographs. It's always best to check the My Disney Experience app here, but the characters usually meet in various time sets between 9:30 a.m. and 5 p.m. And this is a fun experience for Aladdin fans to enjoy before or after a ride on the magic carpets. Now, while entertainment is being scaled back in Adventureland, there is a decent amount of shopping in this area. And most of the items for sale in these stores are specific to the attractions and characters found only in this land. Here in the Agrabah Bazaar, you'll find mostly toys and stuffed animals for the kids. And the nearby Zanzibar Trading Company sells several Orange Bird and Dole Whip specific items. But perhaps the best and certainly the biggest shopping destination in this land is the Plaza del Sol, which is the pirate store located at the exit to the Pirates of the Caribbean attraction. Shopping at the parks has certainly become repetitive. The same collection of merchandise seems to be dotted in several stores throughout the parks. But there are a few stores that are very specific to a single attraction, and they're themed beautifully to match the land. And this is certainly one of them. Not only is there the largest collection of pirate merchandise here, but there are beautiful props dotted everywhere to help make this feel like a real bazaar in the Caribbean and overrun by some pirates. And adjacent to this store is the Pirates League. Think of this as the pirate version of Bippity Boppity Boutique. Kids and even, I think, some adults can come here and be transformed into their favorite pirate characters, from Jack Sparrow to Captain Hook, Blackbeard, or even a mermaid, complete with makeup and costumes. There's a pretty wide range when it comes to choosing a package and pricing at the Pirates League. Packages start as low as $18.95 and as high as $99. Of course, the more expensive options come with more elaborate makeup and costumes. If this is something you're interested in, I'll leave a link in the description below. But I can tell you this, reservations are highly recommended and can be made by phone up to 180 days in advance. Kids must be at least 3 years old to participate in this, and anyone under the age of 18 must be accompanied by an adult for the entire experience. This is certainly a great stop for the ultimate pirate lover. Next up, we have dining. Food in Adventureland is also a little scarce. However, some of Disney's most iconic snacks can be found here. So what we lose in quantity is made up for in quality. If you didn't catch it, check out my 5 must-try snacks in Adventureland video. It's my latest addition to the Foodie Friday videos. In it, you'll find out where to pick up those infamous Dole Whips and even try a few new items like the citrus swirl and the delicious cheeseburger spring rolls. You can even pick up the classic Disney turkey leg at Tortuga Tavern. But for the sake of time, I'm going to focus on the land's only table service restaurant. The Jungle Navigation Company Skipper Canteen is Adventureland's first and only table service restaurant. And believe it or not, it only opened a few years ago. Back in the 70s, this was originally a quick service location called the Adventureland Veranda. So if you veterans haven't been to Disney for a few decades, you may not recognize this new restaurant. But back in 2015, Skipper Canteen opened its doors and provided a menu with an array of dishes inspired by African, Asian, and Latin cuisine, a first for the Magic Kingdom. According to Disney, this restaurant is owned and operated by the Jungle Navigation Company, the same group that runs the Jungle Cruise expeditions, and founded by Dr. Albert Falls. The restaurant is divided into 3 distinct sections. When you first walk in, you'll enter a large mess hall, and the 2 remaining rooms are much more elaborate and intimate. The first is said to be a meeting room for members of the Society of Explorers and Adventurers. Notable members of this club include Harrison Hightower III, Lord Henry Mystic, and even Jock Lindsay. And a keen Disney fan will know exactly how all of those characters tie into other dining locations and even some attractions from the international parks. But the third room is my favorite, and one I would suggest requesting for if you can. This is a parlor room for the Falls family. It's a quieter room to dine in and full of wacky Adventureland details. There is, of course, the famous Great Wall of China, some colorful chandeliers paying homage to the nearby Tiki room, and a model of one of the boats from the Jungle Cruise. Now, in terms of food, this place is a mixed bag. When it first opened, it was certainly an adventurous menu. Perfect for people like me who are usually looking for a big change from standard theme park food. Unfortunately, in the few years since it's been open, the exotic dishes have been scaled back a little bit. However, there are still some dishes that are inspired by Asian and Latin cuisine, and they taste very good. The entrees range from a simple grilled steak or chicken to Thai noodles and a vegetable curry stew. The prices can range anywhere between $19 and $35 a plate. Skipper Canteen is open for lunch and dinner, usually from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., or park closing time. Like any table service restaurant at Magic Kingdom, reservations are definitely recommended. But this is perhaps the easiest restaurant to score a last-minute reservation at, or even do as a walk-up, especially during lunch hours. It's not my number 1 choice at Magic Kingdom, but it's certainly one of my preferred choices, especially if you're looking for something different, and I hope you're ready for some cheesy interactions with the waiters. And the perfect way to tie in a meal at Skipper Canteen is a ride on the world-famous Jungle Cruise. This is as classic as it gets at Magic Kingdom. Not only is this a Florida opening day attraction, this is also a Disneyland opening day attraction. But the original 1955 version in California was much more serious than the corny yet fun version we have today. When Walt first came up with the attraction in the 50s, it was to be a ride inspired by the true life adventure films, which he produced between 1948 and 1960. This was a collection of short-subject documentaries that in many ways laid the groundwork for future nature documentaries. Now, two notable Imagineers worked on both the original version of Jungle Cruise and the reworked comical version: Harper Goff and, of course, Marc Davis. Goff was responsible for the ride vehicles, inspired by the 1951 adventure film The African Queen, starring Hollywood legends Humphrey Bogart and Katharine Hepburn. One of the original boats used in the film has been restored and can now be seen on the opposite end of the state in Key Largo. But it was Marc Davis's touch that added the more comical side to this attraction that we all know today. And when the boat ride first premiered at Magic Kingdom in 1971, it kept Marc Davis's most notable scenes. Now, I must warn you that this is actually Adventureland's most popular attraction. It is not uncommon for the wait time here to hit an hour or more and even exceed Pirates. Now, I personally don't like to use a fast pass on the Jungle Cruise because Magic Kingdom has got so many other rides that are much more worth it. So, if you're planning a trip on the Jungle Cruise, it's best to do it first thing in the morning or once the sun starts to go down. It may even be a good fourth fastpass choice. Another opening day attraction here at Magic Kingdom with strong roots in Walt Disney history is the Enchanted Tiki Room. Originally called Tropical Serenade, this was nearly an identical copy to the Disneyland version. The big difference here in Florida is that the exterior show building is much more elaborate and features a pre-show with 2 talking toucans. Tropical Serenade was originally sponsored by the Florida Citrus Commission, which gave birth to the now famous mascot, the Orange Bird. And while the show took a small detour in the late 1990s when it received a poorly received overlay featuring Iago and Zazu, it has since returned to its original form with a slightly trimmed script. Hardcore Disney fans know that Walt originally wanted a restaurant featuring the animatronic birds. The feathered friends would sit high above guests dining in the restaurant, and the central tiki fountain would serve as a coffee bar. Once the restaurant idea was scrapped, Walt decided to turn the idea into a show, giving birth to the first attraction with audio animatronic figures. And as I mentioned before, Marc Davis played a vital role in developing all the fun characters in the show. The Sherman brothers were responsible for writing the catchy song, and the craze for all things tiki in the 1960s made this an instant hit. So, when Magic Kingdom opened in 1971, there was no doubt in the company and Roy's mind that they would pay homage to this important Disney milestone by constructing the wonderful Sunshine Pavilion. But of course, the main highlight in Adventureland, if you haven't guessed it by now, is the Pirates of the Caribbean attraction. But when the park opened in 1971, there was no Pirates ride. In fact, there were absolutely no plans for a Pirates of the Caribbean replica. Instead, Marc Davis was busy working on the Western River Expedition, which would have taken up much of the space that is now home to Splash and Thunder Mountain. It was to be a similar adventure boat ride, with colorful characters like Pirates was over in Disneyland. But when Magic Kingdom opened, many guests questioned the absence of the classic ride. For many, it holds a very special place in their hearts because it was the last attraction that Walt himself oversaw from start to finish, just before he sadly died. So to respond to guest demands and among other reasons, the Western River Expedition was scrapped and Pirates of the Caribbean was built instead. Aside for the exterior theme being different here in Florida to California, Magic Kingdom's version of Pirates had the opportunity for a much more elaborate queue area. I distinctly remember as a kid, before the days of fast passes, walking through what felt like an endless yet immersive queue filled with cannons, jail cells, and of course the never-ending game of chess. But oddly enough, the Florida version lacks a themed restaurant adjacent to it and is slightly a shorter ride than the California counterpart. I will not argue that Disneyland's Pirates is better than Magic Kingdom's version. However, no trip to this park is complete without a ride on Pirates. Now, Pirates is certainly a popular attraction at Magic Kingdom, but surprisingly, it has moderate wait times. Even on a busy day, I've seen this ride go as low as 30 minutes. And since the queue is indoors, it's one that I don't mind standing in. Pirates is also a good fourth Fast Pass choice on the day. But if there are no more slots left when you're visiting, just keep an eye on those wait times. If it's higher than 30 minutes, come back to it at another point in the day. It usually will go down. And I'd like to point out that both Pirates and all of the other attractions in Adventureland have absolutely no height restriction. Another reason why I love this land so much. So there you have it, my friends, my first installment in the Exploring Magic Kingdom series. A complete look at the history, details, and practical side of Adventureland, which in my humble opinion is the best land in the park. I hope you enjoyed this fun trip into the exotic side of Magic Kingdom, and stay tuned next week when I continue the series with a look into the Wild West in Frontierland. But until then, remember, if you can dream it, you can do it.